Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another video. Today we are doing the greatest air commander in the game that can beat tier suppression. And also the only one that can beat tier suppression, Blader. Blader has a sweet 20% skill called Pounce. Pounce works just like Ghost Cannon and Annihilate Array. If this is your first time watching a Melt video, you should probably watch the Ghost Cannon bullet videos as well, because they go into depth a little more about how these skills work. But what you need to know is that Pounce is a 20% chance to trigger and do damage based off the total number of troops in the slot, which is based on leadership, and the level of the skill that triggers it. So the higher the Pounce, the more leadership, the higher the Pounce damage. It doesn't have to do with gear, it doesn't have to do with research, it doesn't have to do with hull, it doesn't have to do with the troop type. Tier 1 hits just as hard as Tier 11 against Tier 11 or Tier 2. But it's a great skill for using Tier 1 to fight higher opponents if you don't have the same tier troop as them, and if you don't want to risk high level troops. The problem with this skill is it's only 20%, and high level troops have a good chance of one-shotting it before they ever get to go off. But when you're attacking somebody's hull and you don't know if they have a garrison and you just want to jump on them and just send all Tier 1 and just roll those dice, you might get lucky, land a Pounce and wipe out some big army that's there, or just a one slot of tier suppression that some people like to send, just one troop per slot with high tier suppression, which will stop all your Tier 1. But anyway, Pounce will get through that occasionally, which is really nice, and it hits pretty hard as a double strike style skill. But that's not why Blader is great. It is one of the reasons, but his second skill is even more noteworthy. He has a cumulative effect skill that triggers 60% of the time called Call of the Hunt. And what Call of the Hunt's going to do is all airships can trigger it, and it's going to increase all of our troops, their attack, their crit, and their accuracy by 1% per level. This stacks up to 6 times, and it falls off the next time the activator attacks. But as we'll find out at level 50 plus, this thing really does get going hard. I'm going to say it now, I'm going to say it again later. At maximum level, the damage seems to increase not threefold, but definitely about 2.5%. So if you're hitting for 100k, by the time you get all 6 stacks rolling, which is hard to do, you'll be hitting for 250k. Now granted, this stacks on top of Sagittarius and Scorpio, so those skills really start hitting a lot harder. So it does have this kind of build-up effect that combos well with those guaranteed hit damage increasing gems. Okay, his third skill is Awakening. Pretty solid. I love the Airship Awakening. I think it's the best one in the game. It's the best way to deal with people, and it's definitely people smaller than you. And in galactic battles, you can roll the dice by hoping to trigger a defensive posture, say with troops all in slot 1, and you might get an Awakening that hits all the other opponent's troops depending on how they attack. Most people attack you with empty in slot 1, but troops in slot 2. Well, if they have troops in slot 2 and rangers in slot 1, you don't get any points. But if your Awakening goes off, you can score, and perhaps they don't score on you. But it's a great little tactic, and that's why I like the Airship Awakening. As far as gear is concerned, damage gear is the way to go. You can make a case, because Blader gets stronger over time, that it's worth it to have the troops stay alive, kind of like Rogers. His skill keeps stacking. So you can make the argument for an Eternal Barrier, but I think Blader plays best by utilizing his offensive skill, Call of the Hunt, to just kind of roll over people by getting so much more powerful than them. I put Blader on the scale behind Golem and Rogers because Rogers simply goes immune, and he's kind of broken in that regard. And I put Golem ahead of Blader because Golem could deal with Rogers better in the one-slot bus formation. But in a straight-up fight, Blader versus Golem, it's a good fight. And unless Golem one-shots Blader's troops, Blader's probably going to overrun him in the back row. So Thaumases that affect the back row work great for Blader because slots 1, 2, and 3 don't really get the benefits of the Call of the Hunt until it's been triggered a few times. So the back row will hit harder. So the back row is kind of cleanup for him, and he plays differently than most commanders in that regard. So he's kind of neat. He's also a standard S-class free commander that you can get through the Warp Gate at a 10% chance during the Release Blader event. So he doesn't cost nearly as much as Golem does to get to S-Class, but he's not nearly as cheap as Stella. So in that regard, Blader is a fantastic hero to start off with. 2 million to 20 million if you want to go with Blader because you don't have Golem or Rogers, or this is just your playstyle, you like using tier suppression skills, and you like airship commanders, and you know the power of Blader in a fair fight, then I think you're really going to have a lot of fun using Blader, and one day you'll eat him, but don't worry, you'll get him back. Or you may never eat him, but he's a fantastic hero in that regard. So as far as gems are concerned, I don't recommend Gemini. You can get Gemini, but Gemini is for all troop types, and it's a really available gem. You see it all the time in Oracle events, and you have a lot of Gemini to choose from. But now that we have gem repurposing, I think you should really focus on it. If you have tier 9, getting a Leo gem and a Scorpio gem. They just hit so hard. You will one-shot your opponent. If you can avoid Gemini, I say avoid it. If you can't, don't go for the defensive gems. Because you're probably not going to be using much tier suppression on them. You don't necessarily need Libra. It's a good failsafe if you know that a lot of your opponents are lower tier than you. You can get 2-piece Libra, 2-piece something else, and then definitely go with Taurus or Leo, or I'm sorry, Taurus or Scorpio or Leo if you have tier 9. But Scorpio is a must-have for him because of how much harder he hits. All right, before we're done talking about that. All right. Blader's good main commander. Let's see some replays. The first thing we want to do is we want to show you what Pounce can do against tier 9 airships. And we were thankful enough to have, or fortunate enough to have Ragnar and Ill Eagle contribute some of their high-level replays. As you could tell, mine was still a baby Blader, so I couldn't get these high-level replays for you. And so thanks to them for contributing. If you have a commander you want me to talk about, please provide me content so I have high-level replays. The low-level replays don't look so good at the end game. You really got to see what they look like in game. So here we are. We got Ragnar's Blader. He has 50-something K, and he's got all tier 1 versus tier 9. So he is defending. He gets first strike. He gets the Scorpio off, but the tier suppression does 0 damage. Golem gets a crush, doesn't get awakening, so his troops get to survive and attack again. This time he gets a pounce, level 39, boom, kills 23. Pounce level 39 kills 23 at 50k, 53k. Very nice hit. Once again, Golem doesn't get the awakening. So Ragnar gets one more shot, he gets another trigger of pounce, and he kills another 23. So he killed 46 tier 9 for losing 15, 16,000 tier 1, and that's a great trade all day. Scored huge points in the kill event, and you can build tier 1 all day. It's free, it's cheap, it's basically free. And trading tier 1 for tier 9, everyone will do that all the time, no problem. So good little replay to show Pounce there. And then in this next replay, we're going to see what Ragnar's Blader does against just tier 1. Oh god, this isn't the right, it's not the right one. Okay, we got to go back. All right, here we go. We have this replay. It's a 13 monster, and he's got just one unit of tier 7 in all the slots. And what we want to see is how Call of the Hunt stacks up after it starts building out. Now, this is an important replay to watch. This is a very important replay to watch if you plan on maining Blader, so you understand how this works. All right, so we go attack first. We get the Awakening. We're not interested in Awakenings. We just want Call of the Hunt. And for the first attack, we got a pounce. It doesn't do any damage because there's not enough leadership and troops there. But his base damage is 83,000. 83,000 on that one, 93,000 on the first one, call it 90,000. First Call of the Hunt triggers, 90,000 turns into 115,000 damage. So we've already seen about a 20-25% increase. All right, here comes slot number 4. We're going to see another Call of the Hunt, and we're going to see damage, and pounce is going to do 0. That's the first strike. And then the base damage goes to 130,000. All right, so 130,000. Here comes another Call of the Hunt. Gemini triggers. We're going to see a double strike here. Doesn't matter. 165,000. That is not connected to the Gemini. So 165. All right, now here comes the last slot. We trigger another Call of the Hunt. Now we have a total of 4 triggers going. 172,000. Slot 1 did not trigger Call of the Hunt, but here it goes again. It does get the Scorpio. It does get the Call of the Hunt, and the damage is going to go and hit for 496,000. That's 3 times as much as the last strike because of Scorpio stacking with Call of the Hunt. Scorpio gems are insane. All right, here comes another Call of the Hunt. Now we have 5 stacks. Did we get another Scorpio? We did. 600,000. 5 stacks and Scorpio hit for 600,000. His normal base damage is 90,000, so that's an incredibly hard hit. He's hitting for 600% bonus damage. All right, there's the last one. 6 Call of the Hunt, 242,000. So with 6 stacks of Call of the Hunt, his base damage, crit damage, and most airships always crit after you get max research, went from 90,000 average to 240,000, give or take 10%, because there's a little dice roll action. But that's an increase of almost 300%. That's 2.5%, or 2.5 times the base damage. 250% bonus damage for 6 stacks of Call of the Hunt. And you think to yourself, wow, that's really good. And he has, now granted, he got 6 in a row. That is rare, right? But you can expect to have 4 in a row. That's a pretty fair average to get. And when he was on 4 stacks, he was hitting for 172,000, which is almost double damage. So on average, you're going to be getting 4 stacks going. Now granted, your troops have to stay alive. And in a PvP fight, sometimes you get one shot by a trigger or a skill or a crush, so it's hard to maintain those high stacks. But if you want to, mix in a little defense on your blader just to make sure you survive a little longer in a toe-to-toe fight, it's not a bad idea. But going back to why I put Rogers and Golem ahead of him is because late game fights typically are done in one slot, and they're not toe-to-toe. And if they are toe-to-toe, it's with tier 1, which Blader excels at. So Blader in that regard is really good as time goes on and he builds momentum. Really good at ace fights as well and PvE, so no slouch there either. And I thought that was a really good example of how that damage scales up. So thank you for that replay. That was great. And I want to show you one more thing that Illegal pointed out to me that I thought was interesting is because infantry gets the bonus of the buff, even though they can't trigger it, and infantry has the hardest hitting damage, you can really see some cool outcomes. So check this out. What we want to see there is 316,000. So the base damage without gear for tier 2, the base damage is going to be a 3.16 million hit. I'm going to show you that. Oh, that's illegal. Okay. He has no weapons on, right? You saw that? No weapons on. Okay, he just had his Destructor Helm. And then he runs it again this time, but he lets 2 airships trigger before the infantry go to show you that increase. So let's see if that gets messed up. There we go. Okay. Same gear. Here comes the first call of the hunt. We are going to see regular damage. Okay. All right. Next thing, monster goes. We're going to see a next call of the hunt. So at that point, we're going to have a total of like 120% bonus damage. And when we originally saw 3.12 million, or 3.12, yeah, 3.12. Now we're going to see, I want to say 5 million something, 5.2 million. Let's see, 5.5 million. So that's a substantial increase. That's a 77% increase in damage. So infantry does benefit just as well, maybe better. Is that better? I don't know. 714. No, it's about the same as airship. So that makes sense. But yeah, so there it is. That's Blader. Fantastic hero. If you can get your hands on one, you're not sure who to main, or you haven't spent the money for Rogers or Golem, who are $300 or $400 commanders, then go with Blader, man. He's a great choice. You are going to love playing Blader. You're going to love his pounce ability, because occasionally you'll catch people using tier 9 or higher, and you'll smash them with tier 1. So all around a fun commander to go really high with, because there's no risk in sending tier 1. So thanks for watching this video. If you have any questions, or you disagree, or you agree, or you just want to join our community, comment below and introduce yourself. I'll add you to the line group. I'm Melt AOW. Thank you, Exo Stalker, for this hat. I now have 2 hats in the captain's collection. So, it's kind of fun. It's getting subscriber gifts. Really cool, whatever. A little appreciation is nice for the effort put in. So yeah, thanks for watching the video. I will see you guys on the next one. If you have a request, put it in the comments below, and I'll get to them as the time comes around. So thanks for watching. Melt out.